What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are finally here, and all I gotta say is, wow! It's been a ride for not only the show that we were going to be discussing. Obviously, what you're seeing on your screens, Vikings. This show literally had an incredible run for 6 years, being just an absolute thrill ride, and what a lot of people would say as a Viking drama, which it was, among a historical story and a interesting story that was created none other than by Michael Hurst. And to see it go, unfortunately, is very sad to say. But this is going to be my review of season 6, I would say part B. But if you guys, first off, have not seen anything of this as of yet, whether you guys have been watching on Amazon Prime, online, on TV, first off, go check it out because it was just absolutely incredible. I'm going to try to break it up in different sections. That way I can go on what each character did and also what happened to each character. Now, first off, I'm going to go ahead and say there was a lot of death in this second half of the season. I think that's why I think Michael Hurst did state that nobody was safe. And really, nobody was. It really does leave off right after the battle of, the Rush invading Norway, and what we do see is King Oleg as well as Harold. They are taken prisoner. Oleg is killed by Prince Igor, and we also see where Bjorn is traveled back to Kattegat. He's severely injured. First off, we don't know what's going to happen to him. He's extremely injured, does not know if he's going to be able to get back up. He somehow is able to get back up, and of course we see where Ingrid does reveal to Gunhild that she was raped, and then later on she becomes pregnant, which she says is Bjorn's child, but later on I'll get into what happens. But this was insane of how, even though Bjorn was incredibly wounded, and I'm going to say this now, there was only one episode of Bjorn in this entire part of the season where he's laying in bed, and then he finally gets up and asks his Gunhild to basically help him get his armor on so he can make one final charge against the Russ. And it's that one scene where we see him, he's out of it, and he lifts the King's sword up. He gets two, or I would say 3 arrows to the chest. He's still alive, barely. And the rest of the Viking clans just swarm the Russ, and that's how they win. Now, Bjorn, unfortunately, does die. I thought he was going to live. I mean, there was a lot of rumors if he was going to live. He unfortunately does die. They build a memorial for him. You see Gunhild, and what's really interesting about Kattegat is put into such a crazy frenzy after Bjorn's death because right now there's no one left to lead them. So we do see where Eric, who was a possible ally of Bjorn, he does try to help Gunhild, but he has his own morals, which he becomes very... he reminded me a lot of Rollo because he was really in it for himself, and what he did was he ended up getting with, honestly, at a point in time, both women, because then we see, of course, King Finehair. He always shows up at the very last minute when we see Gunhild and Ingrid going for the crown of Kattegat, and he takes over Kattegat as ruler, marries Ingrid, but even though she does not want to be with him, she's doing it for a stance. And we see Gunhild, she's unable to deal with the death of Bjorn, so unfortunately she does commit a suicide attempt on her life, and she just jumps into the ocean and she basically drowns herself. So those are two characters gone, and then we see throughout the entirety of the rest of the season where Eric is wanting more control after now aligning himself with King Harold. He is trying to get with Ingrid after that Harold does leave at some point, which I'll get into. And then also Ingrid does... she admits that she is a witch. She knows a lot of different curses. She knows a lot of different potions, and among everything else. It's really crazy because what was interesting was... I really was hoping to see what was going to happen with Kattegat. I was not really happy with the ending of Kattegat, but we do see on the other side of it, which Ingrid does honestly get her revenge on Eric, because we later find out that Eric was a pirate slash slave trader, and he sold slaves, and we find out Ingrid was a slave, that she was sold by him, and then she reveals that she was sold by him, but then she also shows him, hey, I still got my, basically she does admit all she has is her looks, her wits, and her skills, and she later uses that to really kill Eric at the very end of the season, because she has someone else that she knew that's a slave does kill Eric when he does become blind, and she kills him, and we see where she becomes really the new queen of Kattegat. She becomes the new queen, and she rules within the craziness of this now world. And I was really hoping to see what was going to happen with the entirety of these characters. Now, I'm going to say this. Now, we see Ubba. We see what's really crazy about Ubba is that he, of course, he left Iceland to go find this golden land, right? And we see where he takes the one that supposedly killed Floki with him, I can't remember his name, to another land. And they have issues at this new land. There's nothing there. And what's really interesting is that, I'm sorry, Ubba is a shitty leader. I'm just going to say this now. He was a shitty leader. I'm sorry for cussing, guys. He was a shitty leader. He was. But what was even more crazy is he takes this character that honestly killed an innocent family, brings him with him to this new island, and they have a well wash up, and he's like, oh, it's on my property. And then they start, scavenging for food. And Ubba basically does, escape with Tovi and their child, and they run back onto the boat, and then they get lost at sea under drift. And when they do try to go to this new island before all this happens, because they leave, the one that went crazy, they leave him stranded with the rest of his family, clan, whatever. And unfortunately, Asa, who is the daughter of Tovi and Bjorn, goes overboard when they're trying to travel due to a massive storm. And now, as of right now, there are no living children by Bjorn or Tovi. There's now no children by Bjorn at all. And what's really interesting about this is they obviously don't know if there's going to be any children for Bjorn, period. And we also do see where Ubba does, after, I would say, at the very end of the season, or the series, we see where Ubba does find this land, this golden land. And I presume it's going to be North America. And they come across Native Americans for the first time, and they show them that there is prosperous on this land. It's very game-filled. It's very beautiful. A lot of land, a lot of opportunities. And we do see where Ubba does try to settle there, because he's like, oh, well, this is what Ragnar wanted. I found it. And basically, he does see that they speak a little bit of their language. So this does show that Vikings were the first ones to settle in North America before Europeans did, which I found very interesting, which is what they're going to apparently do in the spinoff of Vikings, from a lot of rumors. But I think it may be off of grandchildren or whatever of Ubba or anybody else. So unsure about how they're going to do that. But we also do see where we finally get a familiar face where it shows up. And folks, Floki is alive. He was able to find a boat and sail to this mysterious place, and these people took care of him, and he built memorials and carved memorials of what he remembers through his life. And of course there's Ragnar, and among many others. And we also do see where I believe Floki has dementia, or he's getting dementia, because he does say at the very end where he says, I'm going to die, so it doesn't really matter. He says he's been seeing Ragnar, and also he's changed a lot. He does not think of the gods anymore. He just wants to live in peace, and he considers himself to be nothing other than just an ordinary human, and he just wants to be left alone. And that was pretty interesting with Floki. There was a lot of character development with Floki. I was not expecting that to happen. And we also do see with Floki as well, where he is involved in this trial of Nad, one of the Viking settlers with Ubba, after he kills a Native American man. And basically we do see where Ubba and the rest of them look to Floki for counsel, since he's been here longer, and he says he keeps his opinions to himself. So he's like, I don't want no part of this anymore. And what was really cool is that they do say, hey, we're going to blood eagle you, but the very last minute they change their mind when Ubba says that this world is not, it's too good for you. We're not going to have you go to Valhalla. And he basically just kills him. And then Tovi and the rest of them basically, make their peace, but it also shows that, that the Native Americans basically tell, Tovi and Ubba that we said you were welcome here, but does not mean you need to take it over. So that's what they are thinking that they're going to do if more do come, which will probably be more interesting if they do this with a spinoff. But at the very end of how it really ended was Ubba and Floki sitting down on the beach just talking, and that's how it ends with the series. But going to Ivar and they basically had their own spats this season. They return back to in the Russian area, and of course we see where Prince Igor is extremely upset because he does know he's going to be the rightful ruler at one time. And we actually, what's really interesting about this is we do see a big change in Ivar, because we see the one that looks like Freydis. She actually knows about the plan to get Prince Igor out after Ivar even tells her, because she puts, and this is what was so interesting, guys, is we did not know if Freydis and I believe it's Camilla, or however you say it, were the same person. Because again, it's the same actress, different characters. But what was really interesting is she sleeps with Ivar, and you see the blonde wig on her head. But the very end of it, she's saying, "Well, I'm not her." And I'm like, okay, so is he seeing that it's her, or he's imagining it's her because he can't deal with her death, or is it because of that's what she's actually doing something? And so we don't know if it was really her doing something to him or if he was imagining it. So we really don't know. But we do see where Ivar as well as Visik does try to get Igor out of there so they can take over this area to the brother of the now king. And they all leave. And we do see when they finally return, Prince Igor actually kills his own uncle. He kills his own uncle. And what's really interesting about this is we do see where he kills him after killing Prince Oleg. And we finally see where he now becomes the ruler, and after they're celebrating, they're having a good time, and it later gets revealed that the one that looks like Freydis is pregnant with Ivar's child, and she wants him to go because she's with her family, and she knows, unfortunately, he's not over his wife after what he did. So we do see a big difference in Ivar, because even when they were leaving, Prince Igor does state that he knew that he was using him for position, and that he was the only one that really cared about him and showed him kindness and compassion and saw himself within him. And when he's leaving, he does remember everything he told him. And he kind of gave him like a Floki type of talk, like, you don't need me anymore. I did this for position, but I actually became friends with you and I care about you. So I found that really interesting that they were going to do this. And when he leaves, even Visik tells him, you've changed. And he's just like, and he has changed, because Igor did a massive, personality change with Ivar. And we also see where when they decide, okay, well, we're going to return home, but he also states that, this woman's carrying my child, but she doesn't want me around. And so I'm going to have to move on. And they return to Kattegat, and this is when it does pick up a little bit, where they return to Kattegat. They basically talk to King Harold, and they convince him to go raiding one last time in England against Alfred. And and basically we do see, after all this, Visik comes in contact with either some random woman that was either a spirit or someone from his past that I guess he wanted to make up with, and he finally does. And when they do leave to go to England, there's massive clashes between the Saxon army as well as the Viking army, And what's so interesting is that when they finally do come close, we do see where Harold does die in the first battle. Then Ivar comes, does the normal, what they would normally do, and he's basically says, we see Alfred saying, no, we're not going to keep doing this. We're going to end this once and for all. And when they finally do this incredible battle, Ivar kind of notices, hey, I can't keep doing this either, and he finally just goes in, because we finally realize Ivar started losing more of his, because of how weak his bones were in his legs, they started breaking, and he finally knew it was coming to an end, and he finally tells Viksa, get out of here. And they came to, and they basically did admit that he was wanting to die eventually, because he tells Viksa to leave, and Viksa sees him, and pretty much after giving a whole speech, Ivar does want to die, and he lets a soldier kill him, and then he later reveals that he's scared to die. Even though he wanted to die, he's scared to die. And he dies in Viksa's arms, and after the battle's done, when Alfred tells him to stop, he basically says, just leave me here with my brother for the moment. And they bring him back, and he starts talking to Ivar, and he at his grave, and start telling him that they all know that the end of the gods is coming. And when Ivar died, you can see Floki felt it. Floki felt it, as among many others, but we do see when Floki does kind of feel that, he does tell him, hey, the time of the gods is coming to an end. The old ways are done. And we do hear that at the very end of the season. And we also see where the way it ended, out of everything, guys, Viksa gets baptized, and his new name is Athelstan, which is crazy. Ivar dies, of course. Bjorn died. Ingrid is now Queen of Kattegat, ruling alongside the one that was a slave like her. She's pregnant with King Harold's child, which she does admit. And then we also see where Eric did die, of course, by the slave that's ruling now with Ingrid. And we also see where, of course, Floki and Ubba did basically come to terms with this is a new world and it's time for new things. So it's pretty interesting the way that they ended the season. I was not expecting it to end like it did. I did not want it to end. Of course, I did not want Vikings to end. Vikings is one of my favorite shows to just, dive into. And really, I've really, I would say, jumped into this world of Vikings and everything. It's just, it's amazing of this amount of years and how much I love this show and how much I loved this show. Overall, how do I think the season was? Again, I enjoyed it. I did not really care for some of the endings of the characters. I did not really agree with the way that they killed Bjorn. I didn't think they were going to do it that quick. Ivar, I wasn't really shocked, but I was kind of like, okay, then is the beginning when he's talking, when he has long hair, is when he's on the journey to Russia, I'm guessing. And then also I did not expect Ingrid to be ruler. I did not expect that at all. I guess they were trying to make her almost like Aslog. I really got an Aslog feeling from her. And I think that's what they were trying to do. Basically, Bjorn be like Ragnar, Ingrid to be like Lagertha, as well as also Ingrid to be like Aslog, is what I was initially getting the feel of. And Viksa to become a Christian really shocked me. I didn't expect that to happen. I did not expect him to be baptized and allowed himself to be baptized at all. Again, that really did shock me. But overall, it's sad to see the season go. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed seeing Vikings for the last time until we get either another spinoff or something of Vikings within the future. Don't know how long that's going to be till we get one. But overall, I think that the season was decent. Again, there were some things I did not like the way they ended on, which I did state. But overall, that is my review of season 6, part B of Vikings. So let me know what you guys think of it. Regardless, did you guys see it yet? What did you guys think? Also, Happy New Year to you guys as well. by the time this is going to be on for tomorrow, which is going to be Friday of the new year. So enjoy the new year, guys. Happy 2021 to you. Brand new videos coming. And I'm going to make a couple of videos as well for you guys. That way we're going to be caught up on brand new shows, movies, everything of that nature. So much to look forward to within the new year. And I hope you guys enjoy this review. Once again, if you guys are new, consider about subscribing, leave a big fat like on the video. Click the notification bell so you guys are notified every time I upload a video. Let me know what you guys think regardless in the comments. Let's have a great discussion. Let's be respectful in the comments as well. And leave a like if you enjoyed the review. And as of course, I'll always see you in the very next video in the comment section.